Hello, everyone. May I have your attention, please? I know you guys are in the middle of some good chats, or so it sounds like. My name is Matt Morgan. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission for the New School for Public Engagement's undergraduate programs. Yes, that fits on my business card. Thank you for coming. First of all, let's thank Dor, who is a student here at the New School, for the lovely music. So welcome again, and if you didn't know, this event is being live streamed, so welcome to those of you that are sitting at home, enjoying your couch or your bed or however you use your computer. Throughout this event, right, awkward. Sorry about that. So feel free throughout the event to get up, get some food, get some drink. B. Banu, who is the Dean of the School of Undergraduate Studies, is going to take over now and give you the information you're here for. B.
Okay, so thank you, Matt. And just the live streaming thing, just make sure we'll have a lot of time for Q&A. And actually, I don't even care if you interrupt me in the midst of this. But if you do, you need to go for a microphone. Just so that everybody who is watching us from a distance can actually hear what you have to say, all right? And in fact, we'll ask any of the panelists or the faculty when we get into the panel to just repeat the questions again so we make sure that everybody's clear. So it's not that you're not clear, it's just that this is the format that we'll follow to go through. So what I'm going to do right now with this presentation is, well, I mean, we're asking you the question, are you New School, right? So we need to introduce ourselves to you so you have a sense of the community that you will be joining. And you'll meet, if you haven't, you will meet some faculty and some of our current and at least one former student, right, who will, in fact, tell you about their experiences here. The idea is to give you a sense of place, a sense of community, a sense of who we are now and who we were. I'll take you a little back to the beginning of the New School as well. So, question is, are you New School? I am New School. No question about it. I've been here for, well, I was a babe when I got here. So, about 36 years. I am definitely New School, right? There's no question about it. But let's see whether you are or not. So this is one of the things that sort of motivates us here, the idea that people come into our community who are creative, who want to think new thoughts and do new things of a wide variety. We were actually founded on that principle. In 1919, a bunch of dissident scholars from Columbia, dissident scholars, underline that, from Columbia, grumpy guys who, in fact, were objecting to their having to sign loyalty oaths as part of the faculty at Columbia, objecting to the fact that Columbia seemed to be run by wealthy alums who were, in fact, paying a good many of the bills. These dissident scholars that you see right here include some great historians and great philosophers. They decided to form a school that actually fostered progressive thinking about issues having to do with social concerns of the time. The whole principle was to try to find solutions for the problems that were confronting contemporary society in 1919. To get a bunch of like-minded people together to talk this through, to think this through, and to come up with ideas. This is one of our founders, John Dewey. He's a famous American philosopher. He is one of the couple of founders of an American philosophical position called pragmatism, right? And he actually established for us kind of our functional philosophy of education. I mean, this is actually, I think, still in the DNA of this institution. You'll see that we don't think of education and life as separate. They're part of the same thing. We don't think of theory and practice as separate. experience and education. No, not separate. They are the same. You are actually going to weave them together as you begin to design your own educational pathway. We also think that failing is fine, right? Some of you haven't done well in your former careers in higher education. Well, that doesn't mean you won't do well here. In fact, we find that a lot of students who have that kind of background find success here because they've learned from those failures, just as Dewey has stipulated in some of his principles. And we do think that what you're doing in every part of your life is constructing yourself. It's self-identity that you're building here through your educational experience as well as in your life experiences. Again, totally seamless. And once you achieve one goal, say getting into this program, you'll have other goals, and they'll just build on each other. And that's how you'll actually construct your academic plan, because you want all of those intermediate goals to get you to the next step, and the next step, and the next step after that. Many of you have had, interesting experiences that you're building on from life. We want you to bring those experiences with you into the classroom. We need those. Actually, the faculty thrive on the diversity of experience that we have in our classrooms. All right, this is one of our key issues here. We focus on human values, and we look for ways of intervening in societal concerns in an ethical way. And that's on every level. It involves writing. It involves media and communications. It involves more theoretical studies. Everywhere. It permeates our way of thinking about things. Our first president, Alvin Johnson, in 1933 was the first American academic to start rescuing scholars from Nazi-dominated countries. He provided a safe haven for them, and other universities began to follow suit, but he was the first. He saw a need, he knew that he had to intervene, and he took this route, and it's really quite astonishing. Because there were German scholars, there were Polish scholars. We actually also had French scholars, all of them escaping from Nazi domination to come here to exercise academic freedom, to in fact explore different ideas with us. This is actually a picture of Alvin Johnson and some of these scholars that he rescued from extermination, essentially. They would have all been killed. We would have lost that knowledge forever and ever. It's extraordinary. This is the institution that you will be joining. So from the very, very beginning, we connected all facets of human life. It's experience, right? I mean, Dewey says experience. Education is experience. Experience is education. They are both different sides of the same coin. So all of the things that are happening in the contemporary world have to be linked together: media, arts, and culture. And actually, if you walk around this institution, you will see this. It confronts you every single day. It's part of the fabric of the building. It's part of the way we think about things. So for instance, when the building, which is right across there, you can see it in the brick, which is our original building. When that building was being built, they actually brought people in to do frescoes. One of them was a famous American artist called Thomas Hart Benton. Unfortunately, these no longer reside with us. They were sold off in the 70s when we had some financial trouble to Equitable Life. You can visit them, though. They're in the Equitable Life lobby, somewhere around 45th or 44th Street on 6th Avenue. They're extraordinary. They're really extraordinary. But the idea here is this is a way in which we brought the life of the time into the building. Fresco is part of the wall. Right? It is part of the building, right? So you have to remove the wall to take the fresco out. It's just symbolic of the way in which we connect art and society and our education here. This was part of uplifting everybody who went into that room, right? You had a different kind of an experience. We do actually still have the Orosco Room, which is on the 7th floor of the original building. It was, in fact, done by Jose Clemente Orozco, who had just been fired by the Rockefellers because they didn't like the mural that he was doing for Rockefeller Center. Yeah, but we didn't fire him. And what he did is he created this room, which was the original faculty lunchroom. Who knows? Faculty lunchroom for the scholars who were gathered here to think about social events. It's striking. You can see he doesn't fool around. He shows you the social evils of the time. He gives you a kind of inspiration. Have you guys seen it? Yeah, it's extraordinary, right? To be able to walk into a work of art. It's unbelievable. It gives me goosebumps. Anyway, but also as a part of the original New School, we welcome great artists. We have downstairs in that building, we have a former dance studio where Martha Graham danced, right? Aaron Copland, who wrote the music to Appalachian Spring, also taught here, right? The piece of sculpture that Martha Graham is sitting on is called The Throne, and it was sculpted by Ismo Noguchi. It happens to be in our lobby downstairs. It's still part of what we think about and what we deal with. We have an incredible art collection, the Vera List art collection, which you will see in all the halls, on all the walls, in many of the rooms as you walk around the school. You will also note that it has a lot of political and social content, right? Vera List was one of our trustees, and she wanted us to think and feel what was going on in the world through the art and the artists, contemporary art and artists. So you'll see it all over the place. I have some more slides of it as well. Bernice Abbott taught here, a great photographer. We actually have the largest collection, private collection of Bernice Abbott's work. And you will see it on the walls as you walk around the school. It's quite extraordinary. She documented the social events of her time through these incredible black and white photographs. We also have a history of fostering the arts when it comes to the dramatic arts. Stella Adler taught here, Lee Strasberg taught here. Erwin Pescator and his wife ran a workshop, and you can see some of the names of some of the artists who actually studied here. We still have a drama school which offers an MFA in drama. Currently, we have great authors who teach here and who come here to do readings on practically a daily basis. All you have to do is go into our calendar and you can see this. There's always somebody coming. You're actually invited to these events. Mostly they're free, and some real fantastic opportunities, right? The thing that we try to do is we ourselves as faculty and our students get involved. We get involved on all different levels, in school if it's possible, but certainly even more so in the community. We care about those issues that dominate the news waves. Some of us didn't know, but Du Bois actually did teach here for a time. Quite extraordinary, some of the history of our faculty. And just recently, we relatively recently, renovated a building over on 13th Street, which is our media building, which has a lot of our computers in it. And we invited Kara Walker, who is an African-American artist located in Boston, to do the walls, on the walls, of a staircase leading from the ground floor to the second floor. This is just part of the mural that she did. Just walking up the staircase, you got to stop. People keep on banging into me because it's on all the walls. It's just there. It's she uses this sort of benign way of looking at the world. You think of it as these beautiful shapes. It's a very 19th century approach to people would come around and they would do these little cutouts in black and white for people. She uses it, and then you look at it and you think, oh my God, that's unbelievable. This is in a staircase, right? I mean, it's extraordinary. Again, it's part of what we do to keep these things alive in our lives. So what we started to do is, this was a group of dissident scholars that got together and they just wanted to create classes for other people to think about the social issues of the time. Well, that began to build into something new. So for instance, in 1943, we started this very program, right? The first undergraduate program here at the New School, and it was really to welcome veterans back. And just if there are any veterans here or live streaming, in fact, we still welcome our vets into our program. And we offer them as much support as we can, since they've supported us. In 1970s and 80s, we actually rescued two very important arts institutions. They were about to fail. One of them was Parsons School of Design. The other one was Managed College. And they're both still part of the New School. In 1986, David Levy, who was then the executive dean of Parsons and a jazz musician in the 13th Street Jazz Band with Larry Rivers, created the Jazz and Contemporary Music program, and the young man who was playing for us earlier is still part of that program. In 1993, we started our online program. You can actually start and finish your degree here completely online. But sometimes what happens is people start on site and then lives change. They need to relocate for a variety of different reasons, or in one case we have a student who is a practicing opera singer and he's got gigs. I guess you don't call them gigs if you're an opera singer.
Engagements.
Good, thank you. He's got engagements over in Europe, so he had to take all of his classes online this semester. But he'll come back and take classes when he has engagements here in the US. You like the cartoon, right? It's a New Yorker cartoon, naturally, so it is. I use that in all of my, I can't resist it. Anyway, so what our founders did, what we still do, is try to create an environment for you where you'll flourish. It's the whole way in which the place is set up, right? So this, for instance, is part of our original building. It's the auditorium. That building was designed by a theater architect, Joseph Urban, right? And this auditorium, the Tishman Auditorium, restored to its original coloration just recently, actually, within the last 10 years. You see how I think. Having been here so long, 10 years recently, okay, let's bracket that. This actually was the model for Radio City Music Hall. Just saying. Things originate here. They bubble up from here. And this courtyard right outside here was designed by a landscape architect, Michael van Valkenburg, and a sculptor, Martin Purrier. Purrier is an African-American sculptor who now is located in France for the most part. And he designed all those beautiful shapes, both in the courtyard and also in the lobby of the 12th Street building. It's extraordinary. We watch it, and you can see now the beautiful red leaves on those maple trees, which were picked exclusively for the fact that they change colors in a certain pattern at different times of the year. And also, when there are no leaves on them, you have this wonderful structure, right? You have this fantastic structure that stays all winter long. And this is actually a wall drawing, again in the 13th Street building, which is a Saul LeWitt piece. We have quite a few Saul LeWitts He's a minimalist artist who was very prominent in the 70s. And one of the things that now, recently, was one of his innovations is he would sell you the template for these wall drawings, and actually Parsons students, under his supervision, put these wall drawings up. And they're in several different places in that building. Always, innovation. We're always part of that scene. Anyway, here you come into this atmosphere, this environment that we've created with faculty who are still creative, innovative, progressive thinking faculty, who don't make the distinction between your experience and the education that you're getting here. And for the most part, what you'll be doing is designing your own education, right? This is sort of one of the things we have to offer. You will figure out your own pathway based upon your goals, right? Where do you want to go? Where do you want this phase of your life to take you, right? You have to ask those questions. You have to be demanding of yourself because you're going to be constructing this education. We'll help, right? We have advisors, we have faculty, you'll have plenty of help doing that. But essentially the decisions are going to be your own. We have lots of fields of study available, and you can actually mix and match these in all sorts of interesting and creative ways. I mean, you get to play with this, play with your education in an important way. You'll note that there are some asterisks on some of these. Those are actually programs in which you may also major. Once you choose a major, which you choose, right? Once you choose a major, then you have to follow through with certain requirements, right? But you don't have to choose a major. We also have something we call certificates. Anybody doing a certificate? No. Certificates are a structured series of classes in certain areas, like screenwriting. Where's my screenwriter? You're not doing the certificate?
Yeah.
You are doing the certificate in screenwriting. So if anybody's interested, he can explain the practical implications. But it's just a series of classes you take in a certain sequence, right? And screenwriting is one of them. Film production is another one. Creative arts therapy is another one. We have several of these, which give you an additional credential, which is called a certificate. Right, so you can see all the different subject areas. We also have a great option, because some of you are thinking at this point in your lives, I'm a little behind. My peers are already in graduate school, and here I am. Anybody in that situation? Yeah, see, there you go. But we do have a way of accelerating to the master's level if that's what you want, right? Most of our students don't come here with the idea of going to graduate school, but for those who do, this is a way of doing it. You can start taking master's level classes. Are either of you in BAM? Should be. Okay. The BA-MA program allows you to start taking master's level classes as an undergraduate. They help you complete your undergraduate degree, and they provide, at this point, 12 credits, which will then, provided you've done well, of course, will swing over into your graduate program. So you will be a semester ahead, and you can pocket $16,000, which would have been the tuition to take those 12 credits in graduate school, which you've taken with an undergraduate tuition rate as an undergraduate to finish your degree. Fantastic, right? All of those topics underneath, those are all of the degrees that BA-MA degrees that could be available to you. Media studies, international affairs, anthropology, economics, philosophy, psychology. Also, very good idea. Anybody interested in psychology, BA-MA is important because there's really very little you can do professionally as a psychologist without a master's degree. So this is a good way of getting to that level. Sociology, Brenda, you can do BA-MA in sociology. Liberal studies, historical studies, nonprofit management. Anybody interested in starting or working for a nonprofit organization, an NGO or something like that? We actually have a graduate program in that where you can get yourself started as an undergraduate. Urban policy and analysis and management, organizational change management, teaching of English as a second language, not Arabic, but English, and environment policy and sustainability management. We have actually quite a good undergraduate program in environmental studies, which you can take as a major, or you can just take classes leading to a certain kind of direction that you choose. And then you can link up with the master's program as well. It's an incredible opportunity, which we don't think our students take as much advantage of as they should, because you don't have to go on to your master's program, but you get to point out to people, those classes are at the graduate level. Look at my grades, look what I did, right? So it's a wonderful credential whether you decide to go on or not. Okay, we just did a survey, I guess you might call it, given the political atmosphere, a poll of students, and these were some of the results, current students, that is. And they were asked these questions, as well as lots and lots of other questions, and they said, are you satisfied with the overall quality of courses taken at the New School? Well, you get to ask a couple of our students here about that as well. Let's see if they come out with the same percentage. 85% said yes, they were. That's pretty good, actually. 85% said they were satisfied with the courses that they were taking. I was very impressed with this number, actually. Given the cost of your education, is a big one, right? And your investment of time and effort, also a big one, how do you rate your education? 50% said good, 27% said exceptional. So there are 77% of the students who think that the education they're getting here, based on the money that they're spending and the effort that they're putting into it, is good or exceptional. I think that's a pretty exceptional figure. And then, if you could start over, O is key, right? If you were sitting in this room now, and we were saying, are you New School, right? Would you choose the New School? 87% of the students said yes. Yes. Yes, that's what we want to hear, yes. I mean, the idea is you get to craft your education, but we're obviously a part of it. So these numbers are very pleasing to us. I mean, that shows us that we're actually doing the job that you're paying us to do, and we do appreciate that kind of thing. Anyway, the facade of the New School building, and the question that we have for you, and you have for us, is, are you New School? Anyway, thank you very much. So I think now, if you have any questions, I can answer them, but the real meat of today is, or maybe we should say turkey of today, is going to be a panel discussion of students and faculty that is going to be run by our hostess with the mostest. What is it? The master of ceremonies. Right? Tracy Ann Williams, Tracy Ann Wave. Tracy Ann is our director of academic advising. She also, in fact, can switch hats because she teaches literature here as well. So she can go back and forth if she needs to. Should I call the panelists up here? Some of you will need to drag chairs up. And then I think we'll hand this over to Tracy Ann.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to stand in light of the fact that we have such a lovely assemblage of people. I am, as Bea has said, the Director of Academic Advising here in the School of Undergraduate Studies. I also teach courses in literature, gender studies, and cultural studies. Some of the people on the panel have survived my classes or are currently surviving my classes. They're in the midst. So I'm going to ask questions of the panelists and have them just expand on their experiences here at the New School. I may sometimes jump in to add my 2 cents about the experiences I've had in the classroom. And hopefully you will feel comfortable to ask us questions about the New School experience and to really figure out whether you feel that the New School is the right place for you. So I'm going to start with the students, and students current, students past, and I'm going to ask a very broad question, which is, what made you want to attend the New School? How did you find this place? Did you consider other places? What made you decide to come? I'm not going to call on people. I don't do that. I think it's weird. So I will ask you to jump in, but if you don't, I will shoot you a dirty look. Those who've been in class with me know that that is my MO. Okay, so what made you want to attend the new school?
Well, I'm Miles Foley. I went to AMDA before. It's a theater conservatory that works with the New School, and they mentioned how New School offers a program for transfer students. But beyond just like going there to get a degree, looking more into New School and how it informed me, I wanted to be more of a well-informed artist, well-informed actor, and I know the classes I wanted to take going with Black representation, media studies. So that's why I chose New School preferably, because I want to have maybe a conscious behind the eyes while I'm saying those lines on stage. And that's the main reason why I chose the New School, because I was able to be challenged. Tracy is one of my teachers.
Sorry.
It's okay, I love you, class. But she is very challenging. She makes you rethink or consider the thought that you're about to give, and also the thoughts that go against that, so you understand that there's more than just one person speaking in the world. Universalizing what it means to be an artist. And to me, that's really the foundation of what artist is, being an artist, of thinking more beyond the box. So in a sense, that's why I joined the New School.
Hello, my name is Emerald. I was an Ivy League student, and that is wonderful for some people, but it made me very jaded. And it actually convinced me that I was not going to finish my degree ever. So one day I opened my mailbox and there was a New School catalog for continuing education that was addressed to someone who did not live at my house. I have no idea who this person is, but I started flipping through the catalog. I had taken time off from the school I was at, and I got excited about education all over again, and I just couldn't stop flipping through and reading about all the amazing interdisciplinary courses. So what I realized is that there really was a better place for me to complete my undergraduate degree, and there was a place that was going to acknowledge my experiences outside of the conventional classroom setting, and that would appreciate what I brought to the table in a different way, and that would allow me to really study all of the things that interest me, from food studies to performing arts to writing to acting. And so when I started researching the New School at that point, I was already familiar with Eugene Lang from my initial application process right out of high school. But when I started really researching public engagement, every single encounter I had with the New School was a very positive one. And so I actually attended this event, and I knew that it was really the place for me.
Hello, my name is Shala. I graduated in May. I actually earned a certificate in web design here, I think in 2006. So I was already familiar with the school. I had been familiar with the New School for quite a long time. And what I love about this school is that you're really given an opportunity to just create your own way, as Bea talked about in her presentation earlier. And so, when it comes to my education, I like to be proactive. So I was able to, choose the courses that I wanted to take. I love the fact that all of my professors, and Tracy Ann, who was my advisor as well, really facilitated, my growth and tried to help me form the coursework that I wanted to do. And, everyone, faculty-wise, was very receptive, so I really appreciated that. And, I felt just respected as an adult who had a full-time job and who needed to do a lot of things outside of schoolwork. And so, I could talk to my professors, and I felt that they understood my personal situation. And it was always very respectful and very mutual, my relationships with my professors. So that was something that I really appreciated. So you get a sense that you can go to faculty, go to professors, and really have conversations and have them kind of understand your situation, and you can work around a lot of the difficulties that come up when you have a family, you have obligations. So it was a really good fit for me, and if I had to do it over again, I would certainly choose the new school for that. And for adults, it's fantastic.
And Eric, can you speak to what made you want to attend?
Yeah.
You can move the microphone.
I have to say I'm not the best public speaker, so. I was in makeup. I did cosmetics for like about seven to 8 years, and I kind of grew tired of it. I felt as if my career in that field had was stunted, or I just wasn't going anywhere. And I decided I wanted to pursue college. I had never pursued college before. And my friend brought me downtown, and we were walking around looking at NYU and looking here. And it just so happened that I fell into the continuing education program, just taking a few classes here and there. And this was in 2007, so I've never left. And I think it's because I actually it's the classroom setting. It's a small setting. It's not large auditorium. You're held accountable for your work. It's challenging. I've had Tracy Ann as well, and I have survived. But for the better, though. I mean, I've changed. I believe I've changed for the better being at this school, through collaboration, through my own personal hard work, and through designing my own program, where now I'm starting to venture into my next step, which is finishing this degree, which I have a couple classes left, and then going into Parsons for interior design. But here I am.
It's wonderful. I'm going to pick up on something that Eric mentioned about the classroom experience, so that we can get everybody on the panel to talk about what is a new school classroom like, if it's even possible to describe that experience in a small type of way, to encapsulate what is it like for you in the classroom, whether you wear a hat as a student or as a faculty member. How is the new school classroom for you?
Well, I'm Fabio Parasecoli. I teach food studies here. For me, it's the most interesting element is that really we get students from all walks of life, and in the same class, each of them brings something different. And sometimes it happens that in certain topics, they know even more than you do. And it's fine. Which is also for a professor an interesting experience. It becomes sort of a give and take. Probably, you have a better general approach and a better idea of what's going on. But for certain things, I've had conversations with students that have a professional life that it's very interesting. Just for instance, tomorrow in my class, one student is going to do a presentation on her work. I teach a class on food, global trade, and development. And she works in a major NGO, and I see no problem for her to, stand up and teach for half hour, because in that specific field, she's got much more experience than I do. So I find that interesting, and then, you can work with the students to develop their own interests. Each of them is different. Each of them come from a different place. So both as an advisor, as an instructor, you really get to work and understand where they're coming from and where they want to go to. But again, the most interesting thing for me is having different people with different experiences in the same class, sharing conversations and discussions about relevant topics.
Well, to add on to what he's saying, I perfectly agree with that. All of my classes are diverse. There are people from different walks of life. And also, I learn as much from the students as I do from the teachers. Like in race, ethnicity, and class and media, with Michelle Mater, who's also advisor, great teacher, recommend you guys taking a class. There are different people of different levels, backgrounds, stories that focus in media arts, whether on screen or behind the camera, or writing a book or selling the page. And what's great about it, you learn different aspects, of what to do with certain medium, certain form, and it makes you reconsider, oh, maybe I can do something like that too, because I kind of lean towards that. But besides finding your own purpose through someone else's words, you hear a different point of view. And also the teachers are never the ones that create a wall between the student and the teacher. They're actually there with you, sitting at a table, talking, discussing, oh, really, that's how you feel? Oh, wow. And they connect with you. And they can also start a discourse, if disagreements, a little debate. The debate is always fun. I really enjoy debating with Tracy Ann, even though I hope I survive because she's awesome. But through that, it's, as Fabio stated, sorry, not to disrespect, I know it's informal to call a teacher, it's Fabio, my first name. But
Miles is very proper, which is very nice.
yes, ma'am. And but seriously though, it's unconventional, and through that non-traditional point of view, you create a forward progression, and that's what's needed in the classroom. So, definition of liberal arts school.
Okay, well, I'll put it this way. My classroom experience before coming here looked something like this, and then more of this, a little bit more of this. I really did not feel engaged. I would choose courses that had subjects that interested me, and this was before the new school, just to clarify. And despite the interesting topics, I just did not feel like my viewpoint was really being considered, whether that was because the class was too large or because the other students were drones, in my opinion, who really just wanted to regurgitate whatever the professor was giving them. So in coming here, it's more like this. I really don't pay attention to what time it is. I'm never in a hurry to leave. I feel like my viewpoint and my opinions are always appreciated, always respected. I really, really value the opinions and viewpoints of the other students, especially of the instructors. And I always feel like there is time for people to really participate and be engaged and be active. And then from there, the classroom is not just confined in those four walls. It continues, it really carries out. After almost each of my classes, I am continuing the conversation with the students. I'm excited, I'm fired up. Miles and I don't even really have any classes together, and we'll be, in
Argue about everything.
We debate, we don't argue, we debate. about different topics. So I get to hear a little bit about what's going on in Tracy Ann's classroom. Michelle Matera is my advisor, and we're both doing independent study and internships with Michelle, but I get to hear about what's going on in their classroom, and I get to share what's going on in mine. So it really does extend beyond those four walls, and while I'm in that room, I don't feel trapped. I feel freed.
I will jump in and say there's a sense in our classes that even though we have this specific structured time that we're supposed to meet, that there isn't enough time. There just isn't enough time. And so at least on Thursday night, people lingered until almost 9 o'clock. The class ended at 7:50, and we lost track of time. I mean, some people had to leave. They left about 10 minutes after 8, I heard, because I lost track of time, because they had to go to other classes or they had other responsibilities. But I don't know, there was a whole discussion. So there's a sense that there just isn't enough time for us to discuss the things that we want to discuss. So that makes a classroom that is really very dynamic and exciting. Miss?
Yes, so the classroom situations here, they can get pretty interesting. They can get pretty interesting. I would have to say that, and this is honest, all of my professors, I really, the ones that I've taken, I really admire, because it's really a study in patience and just respect for differing opinions, because I, by nature, am not very patient. And, and so I think that in observing the way my professors have handled some opinions that are interesting, that crop up in classroom situations, has really, influenced me. And so when I'm out in the world and, I'm in a meeting or, talking with my boss, who's an interesting person as well, I take from that and, I've learned how to be patient and how to listen and how to respect ideas and opinions that differ from my own. And so, honestly, that's what I got from my classes. I would hear things where inside I'm just like, wow. And just to see how, they've handled themselves with students who can get interesting, it's really wonderful. So you should feel that when you walk into classes here at the New School, your opinions are respected, even though it may differ from the professors or the student body in general. You will be heard, and that's what's pretty good about the school.
Alexandra, talk about your experience in the classroom, please.
I will try to add something new to this already very diverse set of views. So my name is Alexandra Wagner. I teach in a group of fields called anthropology and sociology. Sociology is my field, my background. I also have a separate degree in psychoanalysis, so I work as a practicing psychoanalyst outside of school, of course. But this combination of things that I have studied in life, I would say has been really appreciated here because the school, in its own ways of practicing freedom, does allow us colleagues who teach to formulate classes that are less than usual. So to substantiate, as well as teach classes that are very usual and very necessary within any curriculum of any university. So to offer you one and the other view, I have taught classes like social theory. In spring I will teach identity and social theory. At the moment I'm teaching class online, culture and globalization, with colleagues who are all over the United States, but also in United Arab Emirates and in Tokyo, just to give you an idea how wide our school actually travels, or how widely our students travel, even when they are not having gigs in opera. And the guy is in my class as we speak. Yes. So those might be, if those might be called conventional classes, then I would like to say that I don't think in many places sociologists actually can teach a class like a sociology of forgiveness or social dimensions of shame that I will teach again in spring. And I could list many more, or psychoanalysis and urban experience, which is a kind of intersection between urban sociology and history of psychoanalysis. And I hope that all these titles might be of interest to you, just as they have been of interest to colleagues I already worked with. So to speak about the classroom, I started to teach here very long time ago, though B cannot be, what should I add? Surpassed. So in fact, to use her language, I came here recently, like 10 or so years ago. And what I heard as a new teacher in this context was immediately that the classroom is going to be an unusual experience with colleagues who might be, out of high school, but might be with almost completed degree with many credits, that there might be students who are actually hiding, but medical doctors from New Jersey who don't miss one semester without taking a class for no credit. And, professor of philosophy elsewhere who is very gentle and does not arouse your anxiety about teaching philosophy professor something that you might not know as much about as the said philosophy professor. So what is always very exciting, asks for certain mastery on both sides, is to kind of find a common language between people who know a lot, between people for whom something is fifth sociology class, and people who are just coming, trying to experience particular field and get their, feet wet, as somebody would say, in a particular specialized discourse. Now, while that can be anxiety-producing if you are thinking about it only, it actually, interestingly and wonderfully, is not at all anxious process once we are together in the room. And I think that then I can just lean onto what previous speakers have said, that there is such a clarity of purpose, really, in the classroom. I am sure you have your own personal view of that, but one does not really come to new school because one doesn't have something better to do or would like to try this or that. I mean, there is already clarity in particular stage of life that, yes, now is time to complete something, or now it's time to know more about something, or now it's time to be precisely here and not anywhere else. And that reads in the classroom, I have found, really, really well. And so that kind of conviction that you are in the right place, in fact, comes out in everything we do. And that's really pleasurable to be with. That's really pleasurable for me to support, actually quite a privilege. And it is very wonderful then to have also advising experiences with students where one understands how much they already know what they want, and also how grateful they are for any help and direction that they can get. And that, I assure you, we really provide here. So there I would stop.
Don't be in the hole.
Hi, I'm Carol Overby. I coordinate the management and business courses here, and although I'm not in the classroom with those courses, the people who do teach management and business would echo these themes that we've heard here. One is that your professional work, what you're doing in your job, is really respected and completely integrated with the theory. So our management courses talk about some theory of management, how has it been done, brings in the experience of how people are doing things, and especially wants people to have these opposing opinions about how can it be better, how can we be new, how can we stop doing things the same old way and question whether we can do it better. And that's all I'll say for now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Come closer.
Just to build off that, what you were saying, I don't think it's any coincidence that I just landed here. I think one of the major things about the classroom that I really appreciate is it is a supportive environment. You can have a differing viewpoint. And I like that. I mean, it's a safe environment. Going off of the supportive aspect, I come to class, and you always come with some sort of expectation, but it always ends up being like shattered, like for me. But you learn things from other people, and it could just be everyday things, or it could be something pertaining to the information being taught, but it's never static. It's a never static classroom, which I really appreciate.
I'd like, before we open up for some questions, for those of you that are students, and also former students, don't sit back, Shala. Each of you has done something at the new school that is not just, let's say, taking classes toward the degree. You've availed yourself of different features of the program, whether it was internship or independent study, certificates, et cetera. I'd like for you to talk about that experience and how it connected to the rest of your degree. So I know you two could speak to that, perhaps.
Well, most definitely. I work with an internship with Michelle Mater, and this internship is for a film theater in Harlem called Miss Studios, My Image Studios, the first promotion for...
They've been well trained.
Yes, we have. And this one of the movies coming soon to Miss Studios is called Othello Burning, which is a retelling of true stories of 3 young black kids in South Africa and how surfing has affected or changed their life. Have them see a different world, find freedom through surfing. And the great thing about My Image Studios, it's the first film studio in Harlem in 30 years, really focusing in films in the African and Latin diaspora. So it's representing independent films, things that aren't represented, say, I guess, coming soon on, you know, a big screen and with IMAX sound. We're seeing art, but with a nice environment, a nice vibe, where people of like minds come together. And this is why the internship is important, because, as said before, I focus in theater, but beyond my own active sense in it, it's giving different representations of what black is or what a certain culture can be from a certain class, certain economic background, or religious, or creed, or so on and so forth. The labels that we have seen in news usually don't really partake in the truth that is really existing in these environments. And that's why a studio like Miss Studios is helpful, because it's breaking that, like shattering this idea of what is and what isn't. And for me, seeing something like this validates what I always hoped for, that I always talked about discussions with my mother at home back in DC, and with my friend Emerald to my left, to your right. And it's a very positive venture, and it shows that there is hope for liberal arts and an understanding of forward progression to be seen through film, such as Othello Burning. And also, Elza. There you go, right there. And St. Emerald can...
What's amazing is that we are 10 weeks into the term, and he sounds like he is the marketing director for the theater. So you can, I mean, the pitch almost is that look at what a student can get out of an internship or an independent study with a faculty member. I mean, that's quite incredible. I'm not suggesting that Miles didn't come like with knowledge already, but his ability to rattle that off in a very sort of encapsulated way says something about what's happening in the quote-unquote classroom environment. Emerald? Well, we can go to somebody else. We can go to some... Shala, you want to jump in so Emerald can recover?
I am.
Okay. Okay.
We talked about this one already. The other film is actually called Elza. It is the first film to be written, directed, and produced by a woman from the island of Guadeloupe. Well, thank you. There it is. Fascinating. It's about father-daughter relationships. I officially am doing independent study with Michelle Mater to work on the marketing for these films. I really didn't know much about what I was getting myself into when I decided to do it. She's my advisor, and she basically said, hey, you want to help me out this semester? I'll give you some credit for it. And I said, okay. And it's been definitely an eye-opening experience. I really get to have like a super hands-on kind of course for all intents and purposes. And this is an experience that really brings me outside of the New School campus. You know, I am at Columbia University spreading information about the film. I'm in the community. I am at NYU spreading information, and at CUNY. So it's been very rewarding, and it's hard work, but I was just explaining to some prospective students that it's very rewarding and helpful to be able to work with the faculty and work with your instructors before you reach the graduate level, and without having to devote like all of my time to doing research I get to do this hand in hand with my other courses. And the next semester, I will be leaving the area. I'll be down in Florida at Disney World, completely unrelated to most of what I'm doing here at the new school, but just something I decided to do that's very different. I'll be working down there as a character performer. And the reason that's relevant is that I will be continuing my education online, and I will also be getting internship credits for that experience because it is an internship program. So I will remain a student. I will keep that status.
It's beautiful.
We have some, Miles and I are constantly discussing my decision to go down and do that because it kind of falls outside of my.
I support you anything you do. Emma.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like I said, it's almost totally unrelated to anything having to do with with me coming to the new school. But it was important to me to be able to remain a new school student. I'd already taken time off from school. I love this school. I have absolutely no problems with this school at all, and that is honest. And so it was important that I stay connected with it, like at all costs. So that's something I'll be taking advantage of next semester.
But one of the things that Emerald is talking about is the nature of our program and its flexibility. So that if you have a dream, let's say, to go to Florida and become a character actor, it could happen. Let's not go there, please. Please. There's a record being kept of this conversation. So if you have a dream of wanting to be a character actor at Disney World, you could do it. You could do it, but you don't have to put the education on hold in order to do it. There are creative ways to be able to do that, and we support that. We know how important it is. I think, definitely at other campuses, you have to stop. Or you just say, well, I just can't do that. Like, that's just something I'm not going to be able to do. And we do have a lot of flexible options so that you can continue your degree. If there is that dream, hopefully Emerald will be listening to both me and my colleague, Michelle Matera, because we've told her how many classes will really be possible while she's living her dream in Florida and so on. Shala, I'd like for you to talk about some of the features of the program that you did, maybe internship, independent study, certificate, any of the ones that you might have done, and what it meant in relationship to the rest of the curriculum or the pathway that you constructed your degree plan.
Okay, well, my situation, can you hear me? Okay. So, as I mentioned, I do work full-time, 8-9 hours a day. So I didn't have a chance to do too many things. You all do internships and such. I did do an independent study my last semester here, which was a great experience. And that just came out of taking other classes where you see patterns or you see things that you kind of want to study and want to explore. And so I had that opportunity to create my own class with Tracy Ann's help and to really explore that. I mean, I love that experience. I love being in the classroom. For me, it's just something that I needed to do for my own psychological health and well-being. Being that you do work out in the world, so there are certain subjects that you really cannot broach with your coworkers. It doesn't happen. So here's a place where if you create an independent study, you can talk about things that otherwise you have to keep to yourself in other settings. So that was a great experience. I wrote a paper that will eventually turn into a larger thesis that will pave the way into graduate school. But independent studies here, it was great for me.
So a couple of the things that I took advantage of in my degree so far has been the travel abroad and the writers' workshops. And I guess they were things that I've always wanted to do. When I did, I went with Parsons Travel Abroad to Paris for a month a couple years ago. And that's kind of was my entry into where I'm going to now with interior design. Prior to this program, and prior to meeting some of the students that were current students in the program of interior design, they again shattered the idea of, I always thought interior design was relegated to just throws and pillows and that was it, but I learned that it's a lot more complicated and a lot more intense, actually marrying the inside to the outside of any given space. So the travel abroad actually opened up a lot more different doors than I had expected. The writer's workshop prior to Paris that I attended was here. It was intense, and I knew I liked writing creatively, and what resulted was I got a lot out of it. Like I got a lot of pieces out of it that I still am working on to this day. So it's kind of a juggling act, but it's opened a lot of doors.
Please.
Also, in food studies, we try to, for instance, create the opportunities for students to get hands-on experience. We work with lots of NGOs, and we give students opportunities to work in fields like food justice or sustainability, local food systems. But also, we recently signed an agreement with a culinary school so that students can also, while they get their liberal art education, they can also get the hands-on experience to become professional chefs. And this is not just random. I mean, as B was saying, for us, putting together theory and practice is very important. And in food studies, that can be one of the outcomes. So some students might decide to work in an NGO to work on, I don't know, food deserts in certain part of the city. Others might want to get into a kitchen and try to change the kitchen. Now chefs have to think about sustainability of what they cook, the sourcing, and what they're doing with their job. So sometimes it's not enough to be good at the stove, but you have to start thinking about larger issues. So we try to help the students actually do that. And that's just an example, in my field, in food studies.
Okay, I'm going to open it up and see if there are any questions. Matt has a wireless mic, so if you have a question, please raise your hand and he'll come across. While we're waiting to see if there are any questions out there, I'm going to speak a little to the advising process and ask each of you some of you are advisors, and you're definitely advisees or former advisees, to speak about the advising experience and what and how it helped you to navigate the program or didn't, as the case may be, like what you might have wanted out of it, if there was something else you might have needed. But I would, again, ask those that are in the audience, if you have specific questions and it doesn't have to be a specific question to someone on the panel, it can be a question that one of us can actually address for you. So please, if you have a question, just raise your hand. So advising. Anybody?
Well, oh, no question, okay. So I just had my first advising session with Michelle Matera about this week, and pretty much talking about the future. I'm pretty much almost finished with my classes as an undergraduate. Yeah, I know, yeah. And because I have a lot of credits, and so, hey, it is what it is. So I'm thinking about going to the BA-MA program, but I know with talking to Michelle that I want to do a lot of things, and I know, as I said before, I want to be this actor who's informed by the art of what creates it, the world around it, meaning. And so the conversation stirred different thoughts in my mind. It actually just made me reconsider, okay, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that. I know for me that the advising process was very informative. She was there to serve you, but at the same time offering certain things. She was there to serve me, offering certain things that can actually lead me to a certain direction. And anything I would offer, questions I would ask, she would be there for me. What I really enjoyed with the process was it wasn't okay, this is what you want to do, this is how it is, period, get out my room. It was really, it was really just, okay, so this is what you want to do, okay, fine. I really dig what you're saying. Maybe check this class right here about this class right there. Oh, maybe we consider this class. Like, opening your mind at the same time having you walking down that road. So, if anything, I learned a lot. I had my notes, I had my iPad open, taking down the notes, and it helped me with the class I'm preparing to take right now, as with preparing for the BA/MA process.
I can say briefly that I have had interactions with Michelle Matera, who is my advisor, with B, who is my kind of initial advisor. When I entered the program with Tracy Ann, I have been able to ask them all questions. Each of them has been personable, respectful, genuinely curious about what I would like to get out of my experience here at the New School. Michelle actually convinced me to take two of the classes I'm taking, and one of them, especially Pathways to Learning with Linda Dunn, which is kind of considered a foundation type course, really helped me open my eyes to my passion for the philosophy of education, which if someone had told me that was like something I cared anything about, not that I didn't care, but that I would be really passionate about, I would have laughed at them. But that turned out not to be the case. And I also just, when you go up to the floor where these ladies have their offices, their doors are open, the floor is open, people are interacting with one another, and it really is a welcoming atmosphere where I never feel like I'm bothering anyone. I actually got a call from Michelle because I had to postpone my education. I wanted to start during the summer, and I decided to wait until the fall to begin here. And I got a call from her asking like if everything was okay, if I needed anything, and I just thought that was an amazing, wonderful way for me to enter into this space, to have someone who's concerned about me, who hasn't even been able to sit down and have a conversation with me yet, and is already kind of acting like an aunt. So I've had a wonderful experience with advising personally.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, it really took me a long time to take advantage of the whole advising process because I'd had previous experiences at another university that didn't go down too well. So, I thought, well, I'll just do it on my own. I don't need any guidance. I'm fine. And, eventually I decided to take advantage and to choose my advisor, and it was great because I got advice and not someone telling me what to do, or just kind of putting down anything that I wanted to explore that was sort of out of the box or unconventional, or maybe not that workable. So I think that you really worked with me and really helped me to develop my project. And to,
I tried.
You sure did.
No,
You
I
sure
tried.
did.
I tried. Shala, she really had been harmed in her previous advising iterations, and I mean, I was harmed as a student as well. I mean, I was an English major in the end, but my advisor was politics. So her intent throughout my entire academic career was, why aren't you taking more politics courses? Aren't you going to law school? So I had to figure out how to navigate the curriculum myself and figure out how to do this English major on my own because there was nobody to help me. Because at the school I attended, your advisor is chosen once you're accepted, and whatever you sort of check off, more broadly speaking, that's just who you're stuck with. So it made it quite challenging. So I completely empathize with advising refugees. Maybe that's how I've landed in this role, trying to help people to navigate this program and get exactly what they want out of it. Dear Eric.
I've had a sampling of a lot of different advisors through. A lot of them were my teachers, and I've gone to them for different advice, and it's been really useful and helpful. And like Tracy Ann reached out to me at the beginning of the semester. She remembers my name. But she sent me a forward to an internship perspective. It's a useful tool to have. It's a useful person to collaborate with, basically, that I really appreciate. And although I don't see them every day, I mean, I still get something out of the meetings.
Alexandra and Fabio, could you speak about the advising relationship broadly? It's a very broad, crazy question that I should even ask you and cause you to look at me crazily, I know. But what is it like? I mean, you all have a slate of advisees. Like, what is that like for you? Some of whom take your classes as well.
Well, I can maybe link what I will say with one thing that I liked that Emerald said. Actually, I liked many things that Emerald said, but this one in particular. And so when I started this Pathways to Learning with Linda Dunn, little did I know that I actually will be passionate about the subject. So there is something that is very interesting and very delicate about advising process. No one wants to be told what to do. I don't very often. But also people in a very subtle and intricate way sometimes need help about that little window of opportunity that they have not tried before. So yes, indeed, there are many topics that you might actually become passionate about if you learn to listen subtly and critically to the advice that might be offered. And I think that I represent most of us who do advising if I say something about my style, that it is not heavy-handed, that it is not about this is what you ought to be doing given anything, but rather this is what you might want to consider given what you have already done, and given that in most cases we have been sitting together for some months and sometimes for some years. So you know me, you trust me, hopefully, and I know you, and I also trust your judgment. So I have found that conversation to really be great, inspiring, opening new space, because I think the worst thing that can happen to a student or to a teacher is to continue down the line that they think they know. Well, if you would like to do that alone, then coming to school is not particularly interesting. But to go to some, off-beaten path that you have not considered, I'd say that that's one of the many purposes of education, and that's what we're trying to support here.
I would just add that, as Tracy Ann was saying, many of the students then end up maybe taking your classes, so you create a different kind of relationship which becomes more complete. But as an advisor, I always also try to understand who are these persons as persons, besides what their background or where they want to go. What makes them tick? What makes them want to do things? What excites them? And I try somehow to channel that energy and that desire towards something. And I try also to challenge them sometimes. Okay, you're doing food studies, but maybe you should really learn how to write better essays, or it'd be a good idea to get foreign languages, and so that you can get in touch with different cultures. So it's a very interesting interaction. I think it's a give and take.
I would definitely agree. I would say that the advising relationship, much like the classroom relationship, isn't about, let me tell you what it is you need to be doing with yourself, because you've been doing all right. You've been living your life, you pay your bills, you have your relationships, your friendships. So this is more about a collaborative relationship. How are we going to collaborate so that you can get what it is from this degree? And certainly what you want ultimately is that degree, but what's the dream? What is it that you want? Where is it that you see yourself going? For some people, for example, like Shala has a very high-pressured, crazy job, but she wanted this degree. But what is it beyond that? What is the dream? What makes your heart sing when you take certain types of classes? So it's about a conversation, I mean, it's with every single advisee that you're trying to figure out for them how are they going to achieve this moment in the classroom where they feel like they're skipping out of the classroom and they can't wait to get back, to skip back to the classroom, and also to work with you on crafting this education. We have a question.
Hi. I'm wondering if someone's interested in going into a master's program like architecture, but they don't have like a strong background. They may have taken a few courses, painting, drawing, but they don't have material for a strong portfolio, and they want to get that, maybe take a course. What would you recommend, to sort of build up, a body of work that you can put forth in a portfolio if someone's considering going to architecture school? I'm considering the architecture program, but I don't feel that I have a strong enough portfolio, material to go on that.
So I would say that's not, and my fellow advisors can speak to this too, that's not unlike many of the students who come here who might have begun a degree, let's say, in literature, but want to be going into psychology and arts therapies. But they're like, how can I do that? I have 40-some credits in this particular area. So what we do is we can, if you know that you want to do a master's in architecture, we take a look at that program. And we take a look at what are the kinds of things that someone would need in order to get there. And then we craft. But we're, again, crafting a broad liberal arts program. So through internship, through independent study, and through coursework, we would figure out how to get the kinds of courses and the kind of experience that you would need in order to make you a good candidate for that kind of graduate program.
Yeah, well, there are ways of manipulating the curriculum. You do have available courses from other divisions, undergraduate courses from other divisions. And Parsons School of Design, as one of our divisions, is just in the process of sort of liberalizing its curriculum to make courses available for students who are not in the professional design school, so that there are now some courses available for students who are interested in developing a certain number of skills. That is something that we could explore with you, because you sound like you might need some practical skills to develop the portfolio, some specific ones. So we'd have to explore whether or not the courses that you would need to do that would be available. Our program is a broad liberal arts program, as Tracy Ann says, right? So we are dealing with only very basic fine arts classes, drawing and painting, right? Not specifically focused on architecture. There we'd have to go to the specialist school, the division, which in fact does that kind of work, and we'd have to explore whether or not the courses that you would need to go forward in your dream are the ones that are available to you. So it will be a tricky and interesting operation. It's one of the things our students are very good at doing, telling us what they want and challenging us to figure out how they can get it, right? It's one of the things we do, right? We're professional finaglers on that level, and it's kind of fun to do it. So we'd have to sit down. You might want to actually talk to us before, and we could sit down and play around with the curriculum and see if you could get what you needed.
Any other questions out there? Okay. Oh, a question. Yay.
Since I probably read something wrong and I thought it was for graduate school, are you doing an equivalent one for graduate school like this, or?
It's been done.
Oh, okay, well, I'm late then, but that's all right, I'm somehow in the right place.
I can talk to you a little bit about it.
There's a question right behind you, Matt.
Okay, so what do you do if you decide you want to go to like Eugene Lang, but you're already enrolled for public engagement?
Are you asking?
It's not a personal
No, no,
choice,
no, no,
I'm
no,
just
no,
asking.
I understand. Are you asking about transfer?
Yes.
Are you asking about taking a few courses at Lang and also?
Transferring.
Transferring.
Essentially, what you have to do is you have to apply to Eugene Lang College as a transfer student. They take a look at your application. You go through their process in somewhat truncated form since you're already part of the new school. They evaluate you and they accept you or not. So they have an independent process as well. If you were interested in Eugene Lang College and were an outside external transfer, we would just refer you to the right people to do the application process here.
Hi, my name is Gus. Just have a quick question for you guys. I guess anybody could take this. Based on the storm problems that have been going on, is there some kind of pushback date for, as far as enrollment goes,
That guy.
or a limit to what the transfer date or enrollment date would be? Thank you.
We'll actually talk about that in depth here in a second. We'll answer these questions first, then I'll give my admission spiel.
I have a question for, what is your name? Eric. The first part of the question is, what inspired you to go into interior design? And the second part is it an undergraduate degree that you're getting or a graduate master's degree?
That's a good question. Currently, right now, I'm doing my bachelor's in liberal arts, and because I'm a couple courses short of having this degree, I'm seeing it through. But what I'm going to go on to next is part of the AAS program. It's essentially an associate's degree in interior design, provided that I'm accepted. But what inspired me was that the travel abroad in Paris when I met the students. I love drawing as much as I do writing, and when I learned how challenging the program is and how reputable the program is, that's kind of like what lit a fire under me, like for my next step. I hope that answers it.
But you're also doing a screenwriting certificate too. I mean, he's availed himself of a lot of different features of our program. So concurrent with the degrees, he's also fulfilling a screenwriting certificate. Okay. Okay then. We'll run away.
So, Gus, that was a good question. I am the Lone Ranger in the admission office for this program. So I do all things admission, review files, talk to you about your eligibility of entering the program. So here are some important dates. The deadline for the spring 2013 semester has been extended. We are now on a rolling admission basis. So the sooner you get your application in, the sooner we can get you into the program. Preferably before the winter solstice holiday season. Be politically correct there. That's what we call our party in the office. Winter solstice season. Yeah, right. So for the spring semester, we're still accepting applications. That's all you need to know. For the fall 2013 semester, the deadline for that is June 1st of 2013. You still have plenty of time to apply for next fall. We actually have a summer term as well, and that deadline is April 1st, 2013. Everything's done online these days. We're no different. The application's available online. There's a website on the bright yellow pamphlets at your table. And then there's a big red button that says Apply Now. Click that, and you're on your way. What we need from you, in addition to the online application, is as follows. Transcripts from any previously attended institution. If I could italicize my words, I would italicize any. If you've been to one university, we'll need a transcript from just that one. If you've been to 12, it's happened. We'll need all 12 transcripts. That's just so we can get some transfer credits in for you and see your previous academic work, right? Also, there are 3 essays that are required. They're each 500 words each. We can go into that a little more in depth. I'll give you my business card if you're interested, and I can go into that. A resume, typical everyday resume that you probably already have mocked up. Some of us have performance resumes. Some of us have working resumes. Some of us have both. So just a snapshot of who you are, really. And then there's a $50 application fee that you have to submit. And letters of recommendation are not required, but you're more than welcome to submit two if you feel like it's going to boost up your candidacy. They're not required. They can only help you. They can't hurt you unless you get a bad recommendation. So there's that. Don't let this, thank you for coming. Those of you watching on the interwebs, thanks for watching. Don't let this be the last thing you do. This should just be the first step you're taking. My office is open anytime. You could walk in, you can make an appointment, and we can discuss your application process. There are other events, and B's going to chime in, right?
Still time to visit classes?
We have a list of classes online. If you're interested in visiting a class, just shoot me an email, and I'll shoot you the list of courses. Some of our professors are so gracious to allow that. There is a tour today. We have a student in the back waiting. If anybody is interested, he can give you a quick tour around campus and end this lovely day. But having angst of applying to college never goes away. I'm an assistant director of admission, and I'm applying to the MS in Media Management at the New School for Public Engagement for the spring, and I'm nervous about it. And I know what happens. Like, I know the whole process. So let me help you. We all have personal stories. I was an athlete in my undergraduate days. I didn't even see an application. My coach did it all, paid the fee. That was illegal. So I have an interest in helping people getting into college because I didn't have that experience, and now I know all the trade. So thanks again for coming. Eat the rest of that food. Some of you have some bags. Just, shovel it in there. And yeah, I wish we did. If you want my card, let me know. I have some. If you RSVP'd and didn't check in with me, just check in. If you want information and you didn't RSVP, I've got something you can fill out, and you'll receive information from us. Cool? Thanks. All right. And thanks to the panel. Sorry. Yeah.